It's 28 minutes to 11 o'clock. It's mid-mornings on Wycombe Sound. At about this time, generally on a Friday, we do what we call the empty shelf update. We've been doing it for at least a couple of years, every Friday, which is the requests from High Wycombe's Food Bank, the One Can Trust, about what they're in particular need of this week. Except, of course, that in the last few weeks, things have changed immensely. The One Can Trust are facing more demand and less supply, and they're having to find new ways of doing it. So, last week we talked to Graham Peart, who's the chair of the Board of Trustees. Today he's handed the baton to Joe Ollis, who is also a trustee of the One Can Trust, High Wycombe's very own food bank, very much in the news, and I'm sure they wish they didn't have to be. Joe, good morning.
Good morning. How are we doing, Jonathan?
We're doing okay. First things first, how are you and how is your family?
Thank you so much. We're all wonderful on this very sunny morning, thank you. And I'd like to say a happy Easter to you and all the listeners. And thank you so much for letting me come on board and talk this morning.
It doesn't feel like Easter, does it?
No, it certainly doesn't. And the sunshine. It's
Yes.
not a bank holiday and we have sunshine.
The weather is taunting us. Yes. Don't succumb to the temptation and go out. We have to keep saying this. So last week we spoke to Graham. I think probably a lot has changed in the last 7 days. Do give us some details.
I will do, very much. Now, first of all, I'd just like to start by really saying that One Can Trust will be here in South Bucks to help anyone in our local community who is desperate with hunger for as long as we have to. We will bring together everyone who can help run our food bank and provide the organisation and the fundraising that is absolutely necessary to get food parcels to those in crisis. And I think it's really important to say those words again, because that's what we are. We're here all together. Graham said it himself last week. We're all volunteers. We did have, over 150 volunteers, and all of the board are volunteers as well. We are here for you, High Wycombe, and surrounding areas. Everyone forgets that this is a huge, huge food bank. It's not just High Wycombe, it's Prince's Risborough, it's Marlow, it's Beaconsfield. Yes, people say to me, Beaconsfield? We haven't got a food bank. Oh, yes, you have, and it's at St Thomas's Church. We go over to Burnham. We go as far as Bourne End, Denham and Jerris Cross. That's huge, isn't it?
The idea being that it's there for anybody who needs it.
Absolutely. Now, on average, between January and February, we were feeding approximately 160 people per week, obviously adults and children. When COVID-19 came to our shores, middle of March, that went up to 220 people per week. We've just had the stats, Jonathan, on last week, the first week of April, and we fed in 1 week 230 adults and 183 children. That's 396 people in 1 week. That's a 91% skyrocket in 1 week.
In 1 week?
That's scary, in 1 week. That's scary.
Very scary that there are that many more people who now need your services just at the time when all the panic buying was happening and presumably food was a little harder to come by. Now, Graham said last week that you were having to think of new ways of getting the food. So you were Graham last week was specifically asking for money so that you could go to wholesalers and buy food that way, which is not what you've done before, is it?
It's not. It's a whole new tact. But, I can understand. The first thing you have to do is look after your own family, isn't it? I get that. And if there's limited stocks, you have to think of your own family. But all the way through this, since it's all started, I kept saying, let's build a war chest. Let's get a war chest. We're going to need it because we're going to need to get out there and buy food. And everybody has been incredible. So many people have stood up and helped us. But we are finding where our stocks in our donation bins went down by easily 60%, Jonathan, in those first few weeks. People are now starting to put food back in. And I just can't say thank you enough for that. Yes, they are.
Good. That's very good news, that it's still working the way it was originally set up to work.
To an extent.
Yep.
So we're still saying, if you can't go to the supermarkets, like myself, if you're at risk, or I have been a couple of times because needs must, please would you donate? Go onto the website, One Can Trust. Please look at the website and donate that way. Or simply, if you could, but the way I look at it is we're all waiting these long queues now, Jonathan, to go in, and we're all quite anxious by we get into the supermarket. We want to know that we can get the food that we need for our family. I'm just asking, please, when you've got your food, just stop for a second and just think, what did Joe say? Just stop and think. Please go back and buy a can of corned beef or maybe a can of mincemeat, and our client could make for her children something like a cottage pie or spaghetti bolognese or lasagna. Pick up a can of vegetables and a long life milk. If you would buy those 3 essential items for us, please, we can carry on looking after all those children and all those people throughout all of those areas I just said. So just stop before you go and pay and think, what did Joe say? Have my nagging in the background. I nag my husband all the time, so I can nag at the whole of High Wycombe and Marlow now and Beaconsfield and think, what did that woman say? Just please pick them up.
1 can extra, which is presumably where the trust got its name.
Where it came from, 2 ways. 1 can would be donated from all of our wonderful, wonderful donators throughout all our community. 1 can from everyone, but in 1 you can trust. So you can trust in us. We're not going anywhere. As Graham said, we're here. We've got our hats on. We've got our seatbelts all firmly in, and we're in for the ride. To lose 80% of your workforce in 48 hours because they're all over 70 and have to start all over again, we're now, I think Graham mentioned, we're doing home deliveries. We have all these wonderful young people that are coming in every day now, picking up all of the bags that our wonderful volunteers have been putting together. They've been splitting the rice and splitting the coffee and everything to make sure everybody gets enough food. And everybody is being very careful with distancing. We have schedules of people coming in all day long and all evening just to look after everyone out there in crisis. So anyone who is in crisis, we promise you we are going to look after you.
You do have 1 or 2 rather spectacular success stories and thank yous to give, don't you?
How long have you got, Jonathan? Because this is just amazing. I hope you're sitting down. First of all, let's start with Wycombe Wanderers. Wow,
oh, yes.
wow.
Yes, we had them on the local news earlier in the week about their Just Giving appeal, which got to the target very, very quickly and kept going.
It's £4,300 today.
Excellent.
It's just incredible, isn't it? And they're launching a new scheme this week where you can buy a tile in the ground and put your name on it, and all the proceeds are going to be split between Wycombe Homeless and ourselves, which is just incredible, isn't it?
How about that? Right, so put your name on the wall at Adams Park.
Put your name on the wall. Remember, Joe, when you're in the supermarket nagging at you to buy a can of meat, and put your name on the wall. But seriously, there are a couple of things here that have really taken me back. I don't know if this particular person is listening, but it's an anonymous donator who has gone to Laceys Farm and paid £100 a week for them to bring all sorts of fruit and vegetables to our door. And they've been doing that for a few weeks now.
Wow.
We have no idea who this person is, Jonathan, but I personally now want to thank them because it's just, the words just seem inadequate. But what a gesture.
That's £100 every single week.
Every single week we are buying, we're getting onions, we're getting tomatoes, we're getting bananas, broccoli, you name it, and potatoes, and to see all those fresh veg and fruit in the top of the bags going out. It's just so exciting. It's everything as a trustee that I wanted to happen.
Wow. Sir or madam, if you are listening, I am sitting to attention and I salute you. And you've got the thanks of an awful lot of people.
Yeah. We also want to thank the Rotary Club. They're giving incredible donations. High Wycombe Lions Club, TK Maxx. Waitrose in High Wycombe gave us 20 bags of food for families last week, which is just incredible. And Morrison's pitched up with a load of canned fish and sweet corn this week, which I believe we're sharing with the Cheshire Food Bank. So thank you very much for that. But I am going to take my gloves off now, Jonathan, and I am going to say that I don't feel that we're getting all the support that we could, because we're doing all these hundreds of bags of food, but if you haven't got bags for life to put them in, you can't take these bags and put them on people's doorsteps.
That's the point, isn't it? Yes.
Sorry, that's the point, isn't it?
Yes.
Slight technical problem. So we've been reaching out to all the supermarkets in the area, and it's amazing that most of these store managers, and I know that they're very, very busy, but we just can't get through to them. They don't return the calls. I can't physically go in at the moment, or I would be standing at their customer service desks asking if they would provide us with bags for life, because we can't use the recycled bags for life at the moment because of contamination.
Oh, yeah.
So I know, so we have to. Marks and Spencer's in Beaconsfield, where I live, the wonderful manager there, Adam's given us nearly 3,000 bags. So have Marks and Spencer's in the Eden Centre. Tesco's in the Eden Centre have also given us 2,000 bags. It's just incredible. And Hatter's Lane gave us 750, but we need more. We're going to need over 20,000 bags to carry on looking after everyone. So I'm saying, please, if anybody goes into the stores, would they ask the customer services, have they supported One Can Trust with Bags for Life? Because a lot of them are hiding from me, and I leave 4 or 5 messages, and I know they've got them. And please, what would it take? You've made so much money recently. If you think about the donations they get every year on top that go into One Can Trust, please just give back. Help us at this moment.
So this is public pressure you're asking for, isn't it?
I'm public pressure. I'm saying out there and say, come on, you supermarket. You have to help the food bank now. We need these bags for life. You need to stand up and please help us. We're standing up, you, me, and everybody else, looking after these children, looking after these adults.
Right.
And you know, I often go, we had to close all of our outreach hubs because of obviously COVID-19. And you and I have spoken many times, Jonathan, about how when I sit with clients and I talk to them, you know, and I've said to you in the past, when I hear the stories, and there was one lady a while ago, she was absolutely incredible with her 9-year-old daughter, and they were sitting and they were having a cup of tea after they got their food. And we'd had donated from Marks and Spencer's their little pink muffins with Percy Pick on the top.
Oh.
So I whisked one for her and I gave it to her, and she was so excited. And her mother opened up to me. And she told me the story of how she had been very badly physically abused by the father, and how her daughter had seen all of this and they had left for their lives, and they were living at that point in temporary accommodation with a caravan, and they simply had no food. And this lady told me the story, and she said, to come here today, to be welcomed, to know that I can feed my daughter is all I need to know. And this lady, while she was talking to me, Jonathan, she smiled all the way through, this wonderful, incredible smile and spirit. And I walked away and I had to sit in my car for a good 10 minutes because it really shook me before I could start driving. Because I just thought, how can someone still have that strength? But no, and she had said to me, which many parents do, I haven't eaten for 24 hours because I gave the extra food to my daughter. And we hear that all the time until they come to get the next. We hear that. And when you hear things like that, Jonathan, I'm asking everyone, please, I'm begging you today, please put the food in, please donate to us. We're all volunteers, we're all giving our time, and we are never, never going to stand down. We will stay there.
Yeah, here's another thing, another message that I think we need to give is to all those extra people that you're seeing now who probably, for the most part, I would guess, see having to go to a food bank as being a disaster. It's a failure. They can't manage. They have to admit that they've failed. Must be a very hard thing to do.
Yeah, it really is. And going way back, there was another gentleman who I've spoken to, and I have spoken to our lovely listeners about before, who ended up going into prison because he got in with a bad lot, and he used to come every week. And I said to him, you know, oh, is your wife not coming with me? I couldn't bring her here, Joe. It's total humiliation. I brought my family into this position. There is no way I can put my family through that. And they've come out the other end. He's now working, everything is back in normal, and would you believe about 4 weeks ago he gave us a £500 donation from his family. Isn't that incredible?
That is great. So a message then to people who find themselves in that position of needing the food bank, what would you say?
Please come to us. Come to us, let us help you, and there is no humiliation. We are all one step away. I've spoken to people that were totally healthy, started having epileptic fits, found they couldn't drive, they lost their job, there's no food on the table. Marriages break up, the husband leaves or the wife leaves the family, there's no income, there's no food on the table. We all have times in our life when we need help. We're all just one step away from that. And that's what we're here for. The community is amazing, and everybody gives so much. A neighbour of mine sent me a text this morning saying, I left the kids to put 2 bags on your doorstep last night. And I sent that this morning, thank you very much. There's nothing on my doorstep. So I went to my neighbours and they'd left it 3 down. But it was still there. And they said, we thought that was for you. Isn't that incredible?
They knew that it was you.
They knew that it was me. I'm now known as the Chem Lady, I think. But I'm pretty proud of that, and I'm very proud of everything all our volunteers do. I would like to say, because I have stood back as the operations trustee, another trustee called Andy Ford, who lives in Marlow, has taken my place, and I really salute him. Thank you, Andy. It's very frustrating to have to work from home and help you in any way I can, but he's doing, with our staff there, Adrian and Jane and Steph, a tremendous job. And the other thing I'd like to say is we are looking for a new member of staff. Sadly, Steph is leaving us to go to Wycombe Homeless, which she would do an amazing job, and I thank her for everything she has done for One Can Trust. But we're looking for a new fundraiser and ops lead. So if anybody would be interested in coming on board, I've told you already how fantastic it is. Maybe send in an email to us at the warehouse. Have a look on our website, you'll find it. But it is onecan@live.co.uk.
One can
might be our next superstar.
onecan@live.co.uk.
.uk. That's if you would like to come to us and possibly work with us. But onecantrust.org.uk is our website. Go on there. It's up to date. It tells you how to donate. It tells you these cans that we need. It's meat. We need meat. And can I just say it's wonderful that we get chocolate biscuits, we get jams, we get sugar. This is lovely. But actually, if the chips are down, is that going to feed your child's tummy and keep them really, really full? Is that going to feed them during the day? But if we have cans of meat, if we have vegetables, and we have milk for the cereals, it's amazing. We have pasta and rice. You can make some incredible meals, Jonathan, and feed those hungry tummies.
Jo, you're obviously incredibly passionate about it. We could talk all day, but I'm afraid we can't. So takeaways then. Ask your local supermarket when you go and get your shopping, if you're in the happy position of not having to think about choosing tomatoes or meat or whatever it is. Ask the manager at the help desk to contact the One Can Trust to return the calls, and specifically they need bags and details about what particular food they need. You can get that at onecantrust.org.uk. Jo, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you, Jonathan.
That's Jo Ollis, trustee of the One Can Trust.